Season 1, Episode 6, The Prisoner. Our third side quest now. But as I've pointed out before, and as I will point out again, side quests are not inherently bad. Some good atmosphere here, some good stuff in general. And some bad stuff, like you do. That's how that tends to work. Whoop, whoop, what? Okay, that was very strange. Yeah, Witcher 3 had a lot of side quests, too. Yeah, I noticed the Republic Blues are becoming a thing again. There we go. I'm sorry, one moment. This is something I've been meaning to do. Since a few people complained. Let's kind of scooch that out of there. Oh, there. Hopefully that'll help a little bit better. We gotta do a prison break! No, I noticed the blur at the beginning. It actually really was bothering me. Not a small amount. Mayfeld, I really wanted to like Mayfeld, but he was too terrible of a person for me to really enjoy. I know that sounds strange. We've talked about this before. If you're going to have a total jackass, you need to work extra hard to really make it so that they're, you know, less frustrating, for lack of a better way to put that. And certainly Bill Burr does a good job. I don't want to sound like he doesn't, but it's just doesn't quite get there for me. He's like one step into me liking him a lot. As it is, I just like him. Because, yeah, I wasn't a stormtrooper, wise ass. And we do see he is good with his guns. That's some good stuff. Once. When he has the drop on people. When shooting them in the back. Which, I guess that's sort of his thing. So Rand, there's actually this funny thing. So I wrote in my notes, I said, Rand is 100% going to betray Mando here. In fact, I thought he was going to betray him here and now. Which I find funny for various reasons, because now I've watched the episode. Was he really hazardous? Wow. So they can't stop name-dropping Canto Blight. I really wish they'd stop doing this. We do get a little bit of past, obviously. Obviously, Mando has done some work with Rand in the past. Not that he's ever going to do any work with him in the future. Mayfeld is completely unimpressed. The Berg is a dick to him. Zero looks like a custom protocol model who's got a stick up his ass. Sheehan is here, and I'm going to comment on something really quick. Because this is not the first time I've noticed this, and it will probably not be the last. Really, really quick question. Is anyone else bothered by how Twi'leks look in the modern Star Wars stuff? Like, it's, yeah, we see this here, and we see this in some of the other works as well, some of the other recent shows. Like, I'm really curious if anybody else has noticed just how off they look. I've noticed it ever since they first showed up. I don't even really have particular words to put into it. They never really bothered me too much back in the day. But then again, back in the day was on smaller resolution and also had movie budget to go with. This is show budget. They just look off. I don't have a better word for it. They look a little bit weird. Like they're doing too much to try and cover up their appearance. And maybe it's because, yeah, maybe it's because they're moving too much. Maybe it's because the cameras are being used different. I don't know. It's just something that struck me several times. I don't have much to add to that. It's just something that was running across me, because I noticed this first with Syndulla when she does her live-action appearance. It is also possible this is one of those alien races that just looks better when it's animated. I don't know. Because, like, Syndulla over in Rebels, 100%. She looks cool. Damn it, it's still not enough. That stupid bird. Nobody likes birds. Alright, we'll try that. Like, again, bad isn't really the word I'd use. It's just off. It's just like this whole show. Anyways, so, they're hitting the Republic. They're hitting the New Republic. Okay. So, I like how the Mandalorian here is immediately like, what? You want to hit a prison ship. And everyone else is like, ah, you're dumb for being afraid of this. You remember the thing that I think Hazardous mentioned back in the previous episode with Fennec? Game recognizes game. Yeah. So immediately we see that these other yahoos are pathetic and terrible at the fact that they don't even think there's anything untoward about knocking over a New Republic ship. I'm sorry, but the moment you actually have, you brought in proper military, you've upped the tier list a little bit, which is something that the rest of the thing really puts. Yeah, we've got to get her brother out. Why again? And yeah, these are level 1s bringing in a level 5 who is sufficiently worried about tackling this little prison ship. In fact, there's a pretty good chance the only reason he goes along with this is because he needs the money right now. Because family, yeah, you remember when he was willing to abandon his sister at a moment's notice who just came to get him out? Oh. Anyways. I didn't really comment on this earlier. I actually meant to. That's my fault. The whole reason he didn't want the pit crew droids to work on his ship, because he is just that against droids. It's definitely recognizable here because they showcase it several times on camera. But I do like that little showcasing of the fact that he's not a big fan of droids, which I don't blame him. I mean, if you really think about it for a second, a lot of people who grew up during the Clone Wars probably don't have a very fond memory of droids in general, right? Yeah, honestly, I hate to say this. I'm kind of with Lord Harriman. What I probably would have done is been like, oh, okay, so you want me to go knock over Republic. All right, take the money pouch and leave. I know, he's got honor and all that, but Jesus Christ, he knows how this is going to end. These people are so nobodies and so pathetic and so terrible. There's actually this one bit where Mayfeld said that the Mandalorians are supposed to be the mightiest warriors in the galaxy, to which Berg says, then why are they all dead? It's meant as a jab and a joke, but he probably didn't think about what he was asking there at all, did he? If something can knock over the best warriors in the galaxy, maybe think about that for a second. Maybe process that question for 5 seconds. It's also there to remind us that the Mandalorians have been basically knocked over, because we haven't seen the result of what happened yet. The last thing we really... Actually, we haven't even seen Season 7 yet, have we? So yeah, we haven't really seen much since Maul, I think, took over Mandalore all the way back in Clone Wars. So, question marks there. Berg pushes into his guns and his personal space, and yeah, I'm with... whoever said it in chat, like, can we just start locking the gun rack? Oh, that's true. Rebels was before this, wasn't it? So yeah, we saw them in Rebels. You're right, I forgot about that. So it's kind of hard to keep the real life timeline struck in my head because all this stuff came out in just such a wild order. Anyway, so Berg is a dick, and then Mayfeld is a dick, and then Sheehan is a dick. Why are all these people dicks? Now, I know what you're going to say, but it's probably the worst part of the episode for me. I know that sounds like a weird thing, but they are so antagonistic that it stops being interesting and kind of dips into, okay, really? But we're not there yet. This is just them being dicks. They don't know what they're getting into. Okay, sure, I can believe that. Fine. I am going to question how the hell that, they continued to keep breathing air after they bodily and physically threatened the child, but let's go ahead and move on past that. There's also this wonderful bit where they come out of hyperspace in such a tight maneuver that it throws all of them across the ship. And Sheehan actually says a line. She says, the useless droid didn't even give us a proper cooldown. Actually, yeah, that's exactly right. Like, what is the issue here? These people are so terrible at operating in a group. These people, and I had this thought, it's so funny that I've covered Andor before, because these people are actually worse than the Yahoos were at Aldhani. No spoilers, but I mean that. So, yeah, there's no bad batch here. So they go down to the New Republic ship, and it's much more polished, much more pristine than anything else we've seen on the show so far, which tracks. Also helps to visually indicate the distinction of exactly how much we've shifted tiers here. Huge array of prisoners, including at least one person in a uniform. And Berg can't help but be sadistic, which naturally gives them away immediately, and now they have to fight. Well, that took like 5 seconds. I do like Mayfeld's shoulder blaster thing. That's actually a really nice touch, and makes a lot of sense, especially for the way he uses it. So that's cool. And then the Mandalorian goes and just solos the group of droids that were tying up the entire rest of the crew. Yeah, that tracks. And what probably should have happened, by the way, still overly edited, what probably should have happened at this point is this is when the rest of them would give him a degree of grudging respect. Instead, they go immediately right back to being a dick to him. Did you catch that? Like, Berg even literally bodily runs into them, doing a physical lack of respect to him. This is the exact moment where them being a dick starts to lose me a little bit. Here's the deal. I get gang mentality as a thing. Really, I do. And there is a whole culture, and indeed several subcultures underneath gang mentality. But gangs tend to recognize real threats, for lack of a better way to put that. And after seeing the Mandalorian just body all that, probably should have been a wake-up call for several of them. It's made even worse that Xi'an knows Mando and is aware of his competence and capability. So, where's this coming from? Now, the problem is I know exactly where this is coming from. Because it's so we can have the catharsis later. This is because plot. It is. It's a better execution of the same concept, but it's the same thing we've been having the whole show. The reason that they are this much of a dick is because plot. It's so that we can have the rejoinder for the second half of the episode. These people, unfortunately, are so low level and so pathetic that the only way I could buy this is if these are level 0 nobodies. As if this is essentially their first job. But we've actually already showcased that this isn't their first job, and they've actually been experienced in running this for literal years. So what the hell? Have they gotten incredibly lucky up until now? It's possible, I guess. Or have they just never gone above their pay grade before? I'm legitimately confused at where they're going with all this, and the contrast pulls me out of the whole thing. There's even this wonderful bit where the Republic trooper running the ship actually pulls out the tracking beacon. Only 2 people recognize it, Mayfeld and Mando. And both... really hazardous? Yeah, these are NPCs, for God's sakes. Both of them recognize it, and both of them are freaking out over it. So Mando starts trying to talk their way through it. And Mayfeld has absolutely nothing to do with it. Like, he's just like, no, he's actually making the situation worse. Actively. And then Xi'an just kills the guy, which, of course, immediately causes the beacon to go off, and now they have a ticking clock. Once again, I just feel like enough effort wasn't done to make me believe what's happening on my screen. These people are so incompetent and so stupid that I question their ability to continue breathing. It kind of is Lord Harriman. Like, there's some good fun on display here, right? Because we haven't even actually gotten to the actual fun part of the episode yet. So, you're like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And then they turn on the Mandalorian and lock him up. Tee-hee-hee, let's go. And it's just... okay. You morons. And this, I love it. It takes the Mando on screen about a grand total of 10 seconds to actually get his way out. These people are so pathetic. And this is why the episode is still enjoyable and fun, because if that was like it's like them and then he has to escape and then the end, this probably would have sucked. But instead, the second half of the episode is just a horror movie from the perspective of the monster. Yeah, no, he just gets his, like, he's only like level 5, level 6, something like that. But that's still way above this pay grade. This is just an irritation to him. And so he starts chipper shredding his through. And there's this wonderful bit, the comms are no longer functioning, therefore you can no longer hear me. Kin decides to bail on his sister. Of course he does. They actually decide to split up to hunt Mando, which is, again, this is a monster movie, right? It's also absolutely hilariously stupid, which it continues to bleh, I can't even talk, it's so stupid. It continues to follow the trend of how do these people still have the ability to breathe? These people know they don't have comms. They try like 4 or 5 times. They're also not in any hurry, even though they know there's a ticking clock, which started at 20 minutes. And so they're like, oh God, what do we do? No, of course they're not freaked out. In fact, they split up, and none of them have any problems taking on Mando by themselves. Which, I'm explaining that wrong, but to explain what I mean by that, each one of them thinks they can take Mando by themselves. No. In fact, Berg is the one who puts up the biggest fight. I am honestly shocked at how long this is. By the way, you notice he wasted a second Beskar missile here on nothing. That's 2 wasted Beskar missiles. Could you... Like, those don't grow on trees, Mando. Could you use those a little bit better, please? Thanks. All right. So he takes down Berg with the doors, by the way. And almost assuredly a callback to what happened in the first episode, although as we find out, he actually lived. But I didn't think so at first. I thought he was just shink. And yeah, I recognized the actor, of course I did. He's, at least I assume it was him. I didn't actually, I should double check that really quick. Nope, that is Brown. As figured. Yeah, no surprise there. So, okay. So he finally takes Berg down, takes a minute. Shion is next. It's worth noting she probably would have killed him if not for the fact that he's got armor, which is something she knows about and should probably have processed. But no, she just decides to go after him, and she takes 5 seconds to go down. Yeah, that didn't last long. And then Mando goes after Mayfeld. I have to give credit to the scene with the flickering lights. For just a few seconds, really, for just a few seconds, I was like, oh, come on, with the flashing lights. And then I saw him appear for the first time, and I realized where they were going with it. Okay, I'll give you that episode. I'll give you that. He even has the no as he turns to face him, and that's just the end of that. Mayfeld, at the very least, is the only one of the 3 who actually processes that he is in way over his head. This whole time, Zero is running around trying to gun down Baby Yoda, and for the third time in a row, we have a fake-out gunshot. I had a random, small little thought here about, it makes weirdly perfect sense that Baby Yoda isn't able to use the Force when he's cornered and afraid and desperate. Because why would that work for someone who is trained pre-Clone Wars, right? Why would drawing on the light side work under those emotional circumstances? Just food for thought. As for why Zero wants to kill the baby, that's an extremely good question, and I don't actually have a good answer for that. Like, Zero keeps looking at the comm signal from Grief, being like, oh, that's interesting, and then I'm gonna kill the baby. But there's a disconnect there. Not sure exactly what's going on that, so I'm just gonna move over that. Because plot. Then there's this bit where Ran, he goes to turn in Quinn to Ran. Ran is visibly hesitant for about a second before being like, hey, you're back. No questions. Job well done. Here's your money. Kill him. Now, we all saw that coming. But my actual favorite part of this entire episode, and I mean that with sincerity, because this is a fun episode. Well, half of a fun episode. But then 3 X-Wings show up. That's it. 3 fighter craft. Now, granted, those are X-Wings, so, those are not exactly small tier, but they just show up. Oh, thank you, Eva. They just show up, and their overall tone is like, all right, looks like that's the thing. Do we have a confirmation? Uh-huh. Okay. Go ahead and double check. Let's double check that. Make sure that's the right one. Uh-huh. Did you notice? Yeah, they're all directors, but they're all very, very casual is the important part. None of them were in any way worried about what was happening. Why would they be? This is a milk run. Really think about that for just a second. Think about any video game you've ever played when you're in the cockpit of an X-Wing, and you have a mission where you have to take out a space station that is launching a gunship. And this really is a milk toast. Or a milk run. Sorry, I don't know why I call it milk toast. This is a milk run. Ah, okay. Yep, alright. They're launching a gunship. Okay. That was the best part of the whole thing for me, because it's exactly... this is literally the tutorial mission. This is exactly the kind of thing that this should be. These are Republic regulars in some of the best fighters ever built in this setting. Who are, and there's only 3 of them, but they only need 3 of them, who are responding to a call. And, yeah, okay. Goodbye. Yeah, no, it's the same thing with the ATST. It's the same thing with the fricking TIE Fighter back in Andor. 3 X-Wings is a devastating force. It takes them seconds to absolutely destroy the entire station. Bye, Ran. Bye, Ken. And it cuts to, it really is interesting, Bonding Punk, because they've got the gameplay thing going on a lot. Yeah, are those X-Wings? As Ran is, like, trying to run. I don't know where he thinks he's running to. But yeah, we see the other 3 in prison. That's going to go well for them. Among other things, they're obviously guilty of property damage and literal murder. So, that should be fun. That's not the first time they've left people alive at the end of one of these episodes. He hands him the beacon. Like, that's going to save him. Like, that's going to do anything. He did say they got what they deserved. He did not hesitate. Probably the only person who showed any kind of brain cell in this entire episode is, ironically, Kin, who, as soon as Mando has him, recognizes, okay, yeah, all right, and doesn't try to fight him. Puts his blaster down, holds out his hands, and is like, and tries to appeal to a sense of honor. That's as good as he's got, and it probably was the only play that was going to work there. What do y'all think? How we feeling on this one? They probably didn't even have shields on the station, Maverick, other than just Atmos shields. I'm actually feeling yellow here, too. The first half just drags entirely too hard, and there's too much spinning their wheels and frustration and because plot. The second half is a lot more enjoyable, and I said that as well, but that's pretty much what pulls it up to yellow status for me. It is a fun episode, and the payoff is certainly there. And I have to say, I do think that the X-Wings showing up and Chipper shredding the station absolutely just got an entirely too large grin out of me. But that's exactly what yellow means, doesn't it? I think I agree with that. As a reminder, if you want to join in the guessing game, you can totally do so just by typing !guess. The way we're doing this is a little bit weird. So each color we give, we're going ahead and giving a numerical value to, and then you can guess what you think the final numerical value will be of the show as a whole. This is, of course, Mandalorian Season 1 and 2. We're not covering 3. I can show you the top possible score was 96. Obviously, is no longer the truth. I'm also keeping track of the percentage. Oh, I should bold this now that we have our percentage for Mando. Because the percentage is actually kind of like the actual score. You're not guessing that. It's just indicative of quality. Because the idea is the max is every episode is purple and the minimum is every episode is lamentation, right? So there's your range, 0 to whatever. So in this case, it's 96. Clone Wars Season 7, for example, was a 65% overall, which is actually pretty damn good. Andor was 94%, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, this, so far, is a 19%, which obviously that's not indicative. So far, its score is actually 19. But again, we're not even halfway through it, so who knows? You can join in, you can don't. It's up to you. It's just for fun. Either way, I think I'm going to agree with the crowd and not do Episode 7 today. We'll go ahead and hit Episode 7 tomorrow. and cover. Yeah, doing this pretty much right after Andor and alongside Arcane is very, very strange. But yeah, I think tomorrow we'll go ahead and start with Season 1, Episode 7, The Reckoning, and Episode 8, Redemption, which to my knowledge, that is a two-parter. So that'll be cool. And we'll see exactly where that goes. We will go ahead and start Season 2 tomorrow, guaranteed. Like, there's no way we're not. I don't know how far we'll get into Season 2, but that's the idea right now. I think that's it. Otherwise, I hope you all have enjoyed. I'll see you next time.